Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Always Undeniable. I'm your host, Sanaa Collins, and I'm back here today with another installment of the Nine Talks. This is Nine Talks number 3, and these are the 10 biggest lessons I've learned in my life so far. Before we get into it, make sure y'all go back. Last week, I dropped the gym vlog. Make sure you tap in with the rest of season 3. Stay locked in, stay informed. But yeah, let's get right into it. Now, I decided to make this video for a number of reasons, but primarily because I have a lot of knowledge and experience that I'd love to share with those who consume Always Undeniable. Now, I don't want to make this intro too long because I do want to get right into it. I don't want to waste y'all time. I appreciate y'all for being here. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Follow the plan and not your mood. Being able to follow the plan and not your mood is a contributing factor to success. It's what separates you from everybody else, especially when it comes to fitness, getting ahead in your endeavor, whatever. Because when you're willing to just bypass being tired, feeling lazy, any of that, and just do it anyway, it puts you here while everyone else stays here. I can tell you from experience that following the plan and not my mood is exactly what got me here today. It's how you become consistent and it's how you stay disciplined. Being able to always follow the plan and not how you're feeling is a game changer. Because let's say, for example, you want to go to the gym, you have a bad night of sleep, and you wake up on, let's say, 3 hours of sleep, you feel tired, you feel lazy, you feel groggy. Being able to follow the plan is going anyway and putting in your best effort. Following your mood is staying at home sleeping or going to the gym but not doing anything. Taking 5 to 10 minute rest instead of the 2 minutes or less that you're supposed to take, whatever. That's an example of not following the plan but following your mood. You always want to do the opposite, and I promise it will take you to places you never even imagined for yourself. Failure is a part of the process. Now, if you follow me on socials, you know I made a video about this last week. Failure isn't something to be scared of. Too many people hold back on their dreams because they fear failure, but failure is a part of the process. And I think the more people that realize that, the more people will go and strive for their actual dreams. People fail to understand that when you fail, you gain knowledge and you gain experience. How you react to failure is what shapes who we become. When you're able to learn from your failures, you elevate yourself. When you can't and you see it as an absolute negative, of course, you're not gonna go anywhere after that. And like I've said before, your reactions determine your outcomes, and there'll be more on that later. Number 8, not all relationships are meant to last. If you currently have or have had a friendship or a romantic relationship that started off well and faded away, it's truly nothing to stress about because it's human nature, it's natural. And that's something I didn't learn until I got a little bit older. A lot of times a relationship's ending, no matter what type of relationship it is, doesn't have to have such a negative impact on it. Sometimes it just happens and it's just life. Just like anything else in life, relationships aren't forever. Some are meant to teach you, some are meant to test you, and some do last a very long time. But if one truly does fade away, don't waste your time trying to salvage something that can't be saved. Instead, put that time, emotion, and energy into something productive that's going to help you in the long run. By doing this, not only do you save your own time, but you also elevate yourself in the process, and that's such an important thing to do. And I had to learn the hard way that that's more efficient than trying to salvage relationships that can't be saved. That was one of my biggest mistakes of being a teenager, kind of into my early 20s, was trying to save things that couldn't be saved. And that applies to relationships, that applies to people, that applies to a lot of different things. And learning that was definitely something key into helping me grow and forming me into the person that sits in front of this camera now. Stop expecting perfection. I'm kind of talking to myself on this one too, but I'm also talking to my audience. Perfection doesn't exist. No matter what, as humans, we are always gonna want more after achieving something. And we also are always gonna wanna be able to do something well the first time, but we're never gonna be able to do something perfectly the first time. You're always gonna be hungry for more, especially when you're in the mindset of improving yourself every day. I used to be the type of person that expected perfection in everything that I did, and I mean everything. In practice, when I played football, I used to expect perfection learning an install on the first day. I used to expect perfection doing something that I've done a lot of times, which I think is fair. I want to preface, it's fine to expect better out of yourself, and it's fine to be hard on yourself, but don't do it in a way where it's destructive. That was me, especially when it came to football practice, because I always had this expectation within myself. I still don't know to this day if it really was as relevant in real life as it was in my head, but I always had this expectation that I had to be damn near perfect. And not only did this carry over in the football field, it used to carry in the gym when I first started, and it also applied, this is one of my funniest stories, it applied to when I started driving for the first time. I expected to be able to drive perfectly in my first attempt on the road, and when I couldn't do it, I got so frustrated at myself, and I spent the whole night just being angry, just steaming. I'm sure my mom remembers that. But it's just the way my brain was wired at the time. I've learned over the years that perfection cannot be achieved because it doesn't exist. Nobody is perfect, and if somebody tells you it is, they're lying to you. As I said a couple seconds ago, it's fine to be frustrated, it's fine to expect more out of yourself, but stop expecting perfection, because there's always gonna be more for you to achieve, and there's always gonna be something else that you didn't do. Write your own story. Stop trying to live somebody else's life. Now, you've probably heard me reiterate this so many times, whether it's in a Nod Talk or on my social media, because it's such a real thing, and I think too many people are trying to live someone else's life without realizing it. What I mean by write your own story is, sure, it's fine to be inspired, and it's fine to look to others for guidance, but at the end of the day, the story that you create can only be your own. You cannot live someone else's life and walk somebody else's path and expect the same success, because it doesn't work that way. That's not how life works. Our lives are our lives. Do something for yourself. Make something for yourself. Be original. And like I just said, it's fine to be inspired, and it's fine to look at other people and see what they did. But at the end of the day, don't try to copy every single step. Don't try to copy someone else's movements. There's too many people in the world that have these weird parasocial relationships, and they try to imitate every single thing that somebody does because they think it's gonna find them success, or they think it's the cool thing to do. Be your own person. That's why so many people, especially in college and high school, get shuffled up in the wrong crowds, because people don't know who they are and they don't take the time to write their own stories. And then they end up failing and then in a position for the rest of their lives that they can't stand. Don't be that person and write your own story. People don't care until it works. Now, this is something I've dealt with before in my personal life, and this is something I'm currently dealing with in my personal life. The first time, for those that don't know, I used to be 317, 320 pounds, and I dropped that to 197 at my lowest, but over the last year or two, I've been sitting in the mid 210 range. When I first declared to friends and acquaintances that I was gonna be losing weight over a certain amount of time, people used to brush me off. I used to get laughed at. People used to be like, okay, and then just move on to the next thing. I'd be like, all right, cool, I'll show y'all. I handled my business, I dropped the weight, and those same people that were brushing me off and not giving me my respect turned into people that were in my comments when I dropped the transformation video. There were the people saying, oh my goodness, I always knew you could do it. I'm so proud of you, this, that, and the third. When in reality, that's just not true. People don't care until it works. People didn't care at first when I said I was gonna lose weight. They only cared after it happened. And that applies to right now in this always undeniable endeavor. Because I took the route of content creation, and I took the route of building something up for myself, and that's the road less traveled. I've been on the content creation road now for almost a year. It's been 10 months. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're very close to a year, like May 10th, May 11th, something like that. Anyway, besides the point, I've been on the content creation route for just under a year now, and I can confidently say that there's maybe 5 people that aren't family who have actively been supporting me and my endeavor. Now, that's expected, as I've taken the road less traveled, and I've always been somebody that supported the people I know more than they've supported me. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize how far a like, a reshare, a comment, anything like that goes when it comes to someone who's doing content creation. A majority of my audience, both on social media and on YouTube, are people I don't know. Now, I do know for Spotify and Apple it's a little different, but on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, a majority of my followers are people that came across one of my ads or my real popular on the For You page, whatever. And those are the people that are watching now. But I can tell you one thing, when this really starts to work and it gets even farther than it is right now, people are going to start to care, and people are going to be in the comments, people are gonna be resharing, people are gonna be liking it, because that's just how it goes. People don't care until it starts to work. Turning my pain into purpose is one of the key factors in me going from 317 to about 215 in about a year and a half or so. Now, if you watch the Nod Talks where I talked about relationships, you know I found myself in a very bad relationship at one point. I'm not gonna get too much into that. If you want more, go to that episode. But all of that pain and emotion that came out of that relationship, at first I did just sit with it, but eventually I got sick and tired of that, and I turned it into purpose. I turned it into changing my mindset, and I turned it into changing my physical presence. The person that started in the gym that day versus the person I am now are two completely different people. I couldn't be more grateful for figuring out that turning my pain into purpose was gonna change my life. Because doing that also gives you an outlet for any pain you're feeling. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the gym. It could be writing, which I also did. It could be art. It could be music, which I also did. There's so many different outlets for letting go of negative emotion that are here and readily available for all of us. And I think if more people took the time to utilize those outlets and worked on themselves out of bad situations like that, or any bad situation that you've been through, it doesn't have to be exclusive to relationships. Society as a whole can be better healed from any of these situations that we all go through in our lives. Reactions create reality. Now, what that means is any type of reaction you have to something is going to affect whatever happens next. Now, if something bad happens, let's say you stub your toe, right? And you decide you're gonna be mad about that for the next 10 to 15 minutes. The negativity is gonna keep piling on because you are going to be radiating negative energy. And your mind and the energy you give off is such a powerful thing, and I don't think too many people actually realize that. This goes back to failure. If you fail at something and you decide you're gonna sulk over it, you decide that you're not gonna do anything about it, of course you're not gonna have anything to build off of. But if you decide to take that failure and utilize the knowledge and experience you just gained, you're gonna be 10 steps ahead of the person that decided to just sit and sulk. Don't be the person that's sitting and sulking. I've been that person before, and I've also now for the last 4 years or so, maybe longer now, have been the person that has utilized any failure and turned it into purpose. Turn that into success, essentially. Built off of it and put myself on a whole different level than I was before. Too many people don't do that. And it's the exact reason why I'm making this video. I want people to learn from the knowledge and experience that I have and apply it to their own life. That's the whole point of Always Undeniable. I want people within society and culture to be able to hear what I'm saying, apply it to their lives, to elevate themselves onto a level that I'm on. And then once y'all get there, you're gonna have to catch me again, because by then I'll probably have evolved again. Being mindful of your reactions to things is such a crucial thing, because you shouldn't be having major reactions to minor occurrences. You should always be even keel, in my personal opinion. You should always be willing to acknowledge whatever the situation is, figure out what's next, and be efficient about it all in one. Because that ultimately does make the difference between someone who has negative patterns in their life and positive patterns in their life. Success is built on intent. Whether it's personal growth, career goals, or self-improvement, deliberate action will always push you forward. I want y'all to remember that and stay focused on that, because that takes you here and it's always gonna take you to a whole nother level. Being clear and being intentional makes it so easy to see whatever path in front of you, because you know what paths to take, you know which way to go, and you know what the end game is when you're clear and you're intentional about what it is that you want. Last but not least, but certainly my favorite and the most important, is you need you. Up until I was about 20, I didn't understand that concept. I didn't understand how much I needed me to be my own hero. I've said that phrase a bunch of different times in a bunch of different ways on my platform, and it's such a real thing, and it's so true, because if I didn't realize that sooner, I'm not here right now. I'm not doing Always Undeniable. I don't know if I'm here, period. And it is truly because the relationship you have with yourself influences the relationships you have with anything and anyone else. If your relationship with yourself is not right first, you cannot find success in anything else. I don't care what anybody says, because I've seen that play out. People with bad relationships with themselves might be able to put on a facade for a while. After some time, that completely phases out. You need a strong relationship with yourself to be able to find success in anything else. You can't have a good relationship with other people if you don't have a good relationship with yourself. You can't have a good relationship with your work environment necessarily if you don't have a good relationship with yourself. You can't do things efficiently without a good relationship with yourself. And I learned that the hard way, as most of these came from me learning the hard way, as I've said before in this video. The relationship you have with yourself is the strongest relationship you can possibly have. I know a lot of people tend to feel like they need to care for other people more than they care for themselves, but that's the opposite. You can't care for these people that you want to care for if you're not caring for yourself first. That's what's most important. To quote Nod Talks #2, I had to learn that every kingdom needs a strong foundation. And in this case, that foundation is the relationship you have with yourself. You needing you means you have to take care of yourself. You have to go to the gym. You have to do some type of physical activity. You have to take care of your mind. You have to write. You have to let your emotions go. You have to feel your emotions. All of these things all fall under the umbrella of you needing you. For me, this primarily was shown off through me going to the gym, me writing down my emotions, me meditating, me taking the time to feel everything I was feeling, whether it was through my lips or through the writing I was doing, or just through talking out loud to myself or writing down in my notes. Whatever it was, whatever I had to do, I did it to feel better. And that's what I mean by you need you. You have to always be taking care of yourself. You always have to be on point and in tune with your own emotions and with yourself to progress in life. That's just a fact. By being able to be there for yourself and understand yourself, there's always going to be a clarity in your head. Any of these positive practices is going to eliminate negativity, and you never know. It's probably going to open doors for you that you never thought were possible beforehand. So that's why it's so important to be there for you. You need you. Now, there are so many honorable mentions, but if I sat here and gave you all even more lessons, we'd be here all day, and I don't think I have the audience yet to drop like a 35-minute plus video of me just talking about lessons in my life. I know my audience, I'm aware of everything. So with that being said, I'm gonna close it here. But if y'all want more, make sure y'all let me know. Show me by hitting the like button, maybe dropping a comment, sharing this video, whatever you gotta do. But support it, support those undeniable. If you're here, that means you already do, and I greatly appreciate you for being here. Until the next one, stay blessed, stay positive, stay motivated. This has been Always Undeniable.